pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Kimball.
Here.
Fournier.
Here.
Goodnow.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menster.
Here.
Voorhees.
Here.
Announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. Do we have any?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll move on to adoption of the agenda.
Mayor Kropp, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menster.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
This is the portion of the meeting where the public can address the commission. All that we ask is that you come to the microphone, give us your first and last name and your home address, and you abide by our 3-minute rule. We also will have a portion of public participation where we address the Zoom participants, but we'll go ahead and ask for any in-person participation first. So anyone who would like to, they can address now.
Ruthie Stevenson, 69. Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street, Mount Clemens. Can I pass these out?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
About 6 weeks ago, as I was coming down Gratiot, actually 2 years ago, about 8:30 in the evening, this same property, 2 young girls were walking down the sidewalk and somebody came out of that same kind of brush and they ran in front of my car on northbound Gratiot. That person, whoever owned the property, cut the property. But 2 years later, we're back where we are. The point is that I was going on northbound Gratiot. As I'm going by, and I always look, there was a guy that was half naked in that thing, his butt and everything else was showing. And I tooted my horn, about the time I went around the block, went back to Clinton River Drive to come to see he wasn't there. Well, needless to say, I got with the city, and I was told under that code, the city doesn't have any jurisdiction. Well, the jurisdiction should be that anything that impedes should be added to the code if you read what I put on there. That anything that impedes the health and safety of our citizens and anybody that goes through, we have bike riders and everybody else going through there. What do? I talked to the owner because my number was passed on. And first, I said, if I can get some people to cut it, would you pay them? And he says, I really don't have that kind of money. Well, needless to say, what happened was, I said I'd get back with him. When I got back with him again, he stated that really, under the rules and regulations, he only has to cut back so many feet from the sidewalk. If you look at those pictures, that's a health and safety issue. We have bike riders, we have walkers, we have everybody coming along that street out of the park on their bikes and everything else. That's a health and safety issue, and it needs to be addressed before somebody gets raped, robbed, and pillaged.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Oh, do you have a question?
Ms. Rusty, is this northbound Gratiot between Kibbe and Clinton River Drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission?
My name is Patricia DiVirgilio. I live at 22 Michigan Street. Mayor Kropp, commissioners, I thank you all for your hours of dedication and service to our community. First of all, I appreciate what you do for our city. I'd like to thank you and for this opportunity to voice my concerns at tonight's meeting about inviting marijuana events to Mount Clemens. I believe some of you have read an email I sent. My concerns are twofold. One, that the commission may not have obtained adequate sampling of opinions of residents and businesses that would be adversely or positively affected by such an event in our downtown area. And I think that the commission actually voted against consulting the businesses in the area. And many people that I have spoken to recently were unaware that there was an ordinance or potential ordinance passed about having temporary marijuana events in the downtown area. Number two, my second concern is that the potential revenue that would be received by the city would not compensate for any damage that would result to the image of the city. That these types of events could possibly erode all the work that has been done in the rebranding, all the positive things, the videos and TV time that Mayor Kropp has put into advancing and promoting our city, which is a great place to live. And I think that if we were to allow these types of events into our city, it would also discourage young families from moving into the area. If we are short-sighted and looking at short-term new revenue versus long-term healthy growth for our city, I think it would be a mistake. So I would want to reiterate what I've mentioned in my email to all of you, and thank you very much for your time. I'm not alone in this opinion, and I'm sure that you are going to be receiving other communications in the near future, and I really hope that you reconsider moving forward in this direction, and I look forward to working together with all of you for many years to come to building a great city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Dolores Kaziniak, 250 Euclid. I want to thank Ron Campbell. A few years ago, he fought for people to clear off the front porches of fire pits, couches, mattresses, furniture, and it really kind of helped at least 80%. Now we have another problem. We have trash barrels. You know, I can't pick them out myself, but I do go in my backyard and put my trash in the backyard. Now I'm finding out people are putting them between their houses and on their porches. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're not a trash country. You have company coming over and they got to walk around your trash barrels. You can't put your trash in the backyard. But not only that, there's 4 or 5 bags and boxes in your driveway and between the houses. And I think we ought to do something about this. I go out in the morning, I sit out and have my coffee, and I'm looking at trash cans. Instead of seeing scenery, I see trash cans, which brings out the raccoons, the possums, everything, because now they're coming on our porches. So I wish, I'm going to ask Ron Campbell if he can, I know you take walks all the time. If you take walks, hand out tickets or tell them. But, you know, it looks terrible. You have a nice front porch and you've got trash cans out there. Not only the cans, they're bags. The bags are torn open by the possums and animals at night. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time?
Carl Hay, 21 2nd Street, Mount Clemens, Michigan. Just want to say that as a program director for Sportport, we are still actively running. We just had a program in Wilson today. Mondays and Wednesdays, we are still running programming for your children, socially distanced in the park so that they can have activities. That being said, as a new young member of this place, not so much concerned about that, but I'm curious what my taxes go to because I pay a lot in taxes owning my house. And I've been written up for blight. First time made sense, I had left some pallets out from some shipments we got. They're in my backyard, fully warranted. Second one, not sure what it was, but nobody ever came and did anything, so I was like, yeah, whatever. Third one was recently, so I came and asked him. He didn't know. I said, well, show me the picture. He didn't take a picture. So no notes, no picture, but you know that there was something wrong with my house. It's not written on the notice. So after a conversation, we figured out that it was the lawn bags that I had gotten. So I said, okay. Went back to my house. I looked at the date of the summons. It was the 14th. They pick up the lawn bags. That's a Wednesday. They pick up lawn bags on my street on Thursday. I got written up for something that was going to be taken the next day. Really? This is what my taxes go to? I mean, and I didn't complain the first 2 times. I assumed they were warranted. This one I was just confused because I walked my whole property and I didn't see an issue. So I'm just confused as to why I got that. Was it because it was an easily solvable thing, so somebody was padding numbers? Like, because I don't appreciate it. But whatever it is, like, that's what my tax dollars go to. And if we need money, then okay, let's invite some things in here that bring tax revenues, because I'm not your cash cow. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission?
Bye.
Okay, hearing none, we will go to the Zoom call. No one? Okay. All right, moving on from public participation to agenda item 7, administrative responses to issues or questions from the last meeting. Mr. Johnson.
I have one. At the July 19th meeting, it was asked about the category service calls on the Sheriff's Department monthly report. This is basically a catch-all category for incidents not categorized under one of the others being non-assault property, assault of crimes, and traffic calls. I provided a list of some of the things that it includes, but it's basically anything and everything that doesn't fall into the other categories.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Johnson? Okay, moving on to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes for the work session and regular city commission meeting for July 19th, 2021.
Support.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Metzer,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Agenda item 9A, Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act of 1983 hearing. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to turn this over to you. Actually, I'm going to call for a motion first to open, then we will proceed.
I move to open the TEFRA public hearing.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Metzer,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, this is an extremely unusual public hearing for us and for me. I have been involved in TEFRA hearings in the past, but it's always been for an organization that we were affiliated with in some manner. In this case, the city is not affiliated in any manner with the organization issuing the bonds or anybody involved in the project. The city's not issuing the bonds. The city has no responsibility or liability for the bonds. The city's not affiliated with Prevail Academy, Campus Partners 1, or the Industrial Development Authority of the County of La Paz, Arizona in any way. Nevertheless, we're required to hold this public hearing. This is for the purpose of satisfying the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code regarding issuance of bonds by the Industrial Development Authority of the County of La Paz, Arizona, for the benefit of Campus Partners 1. I'm going to have one comment that I want to read into the record that was sent to me by the board from Prevail Academy.
Do you want to do that before I read the introduction, or?
No, when you,
Okay.
after you do it, no.
Okay, so this is a hearing for purposes of meeting the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code regarding the possible issuance of the Industrial Development Authority of the County of La Paz, the authority, of one or more series of its charter lease revenue bonds, Campus Partner 1 project. Series 2021 pursuant to a plan of finance in order to finance costs for a project within the city of Mount Clemens, Michigan. in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $15 million. Proceeds in the maximum amount of $15 million from the sale of the bonds will be loaned by the authority to Campus Partners 1 and its affiliates, all single-member limited liability companies and disregarded entities of Campus 1 partners, which we will refer to collectively as the borrower, to be used to finance or reimburse all or a portion of the cost of a project that consists, 1, the acquisition and improvement of a public charter facility for use in its charter operations at the location and in the estimated maximum principal amount listed below, the charter school facility. 2, the funding of any the funding of any required reserves, and 3, the payment of the cost of issuance of the bonds. The borrower will lease the charter school facility to qualified 501c3 entities or governmental entities. The charter school facility will be owned by the borrower as the initial legal owner. The proceeds of the bonds will be used to acquire and improve the following charter school facility in the city of Mount Clemens: Prevail Academy, located at 353 Cass Avenue, Mount Clemens, Michigan, 48043-2112, in an estimated maximum amount of $15 million. Are there any persons who wish to speak regarding the bonds or the project? You want to go ahead?
Yes, I received an email. It was sent on Saturday. I actually received it this morning. The Prevail Academy Board of Directors would like to make the following public comment to the City Commission during the public TEFRA hearing scheduled for Monday, August 2nd, 2021. As the Prevail Academy Board of Directors, we ask that the record reflect that neither NHA nor Campus Partners 1 has informed the Academy Board of this transaction nor asked us to consider a lease proposal upon which the transaction depends. We want the record to be clear that Prevail Academy is not the entity asking for approval of this bond financing. We take our role as public officials seriously and will not make a decision until we receive all financial and contractual documentation that permits us to make a decision as to what is in the best interests of the Academy and the community we serve. And it's signed by the President, Vice President, and Treasurer of the Board.
The plot thickens. I don't know. Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this?
Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street. I just want to know, why would a private charter school go through a city commission to do whatever this is or to validate it? So are we putting the city in some kind of position to where, you know, it can be looked upon as if we're giving special dispensation to a private entity as far as schools are concerned?
As Mr. Johnson mentioned, this is pursuant to the Internal Revenue Code. In the section that it's under, provides that a private activity bond, which is what this is not a qualified bond unless it's part of an issue that has been approved by the governmental unit that issued the bond, which is not the city, or the governmental unit on whose behalf the bond was issued, which is not the city. However, it goes on in court interpretations, the governmental unit that has jurisdiction over the area that the facility is located is required or is requested to hold the public hearing. So that's why the city is doing it. And the documents, the resolution, the proposed resolution, we had them remove a sentence that indicated that the bond was on behalf of the city, pursuant to the language in the Internal Revenue Code. They deleted that so that the only thing in the resolution that relates to the city is the fact that the property, Prevail Academy, is located within the city.
So therefore, if the board, with what he just read, isn't in compliance with what was just stated or read, who's asking for this?
Who's asking for it is this outfit called Campus Partners 1. And we presume Campus Partners One has a number of academies, would be my guess, throughout the country, that this financing the bonds are out of Arizona. And that leads me to further presume that they are issuing bonds for a lot more than just the Prevail Academy.
Right.
So that's who's doing it. And by the letter or the comment that Mr. Johnson just read from Prevail Academy, it would appear that they're not really involved in this process at all, as can be seen from their comment. So,
I believe the actual issuer is the Industrial Development Authority of the County of La Paz.
that's who issues them, but they're going to the CPI.
Yeah.
And the Campus Partners One is a Michigan company. If you, it was incorporated on 11/23/20 in Michigan. I guess I'm just confused by the whole thing, as it sounds like we all don't quite get the whole picture. Do they own Prevail? Do they?
Apparently they don't, from Prevail's public comment.
And from their own, because they talk about purchasing it.
Huh?
And from their own, because they talk about purchasing it.
So they're looking to purchase it with these bonds?
Yeah.
We think?
But Prevail's not in support.
We should have on Zoom the attorney representing the issuer. But we'll finish the public hearing first, and then we'll see if she's actually there.
Who prepared this document that's City of Mount Clemens, City Commission?
CPI.
Oh, okay.
You did not.
No, CPI.
Campus Partners.
Campus Partners One prepared this. This is done out of Philadelphia. Their attorneys are located in Philadelphia.
Nancy Deaton, Dock 158 Eastman, Mount Clemens. Just a question. So the board is just being asked to hold a public hearing, correct? You're not going to vote on this is a good project, this is a bad project. You're just asked to hold a public hearing, right?
Right.
No skin?
Right, exactly.
But we have to adopt a resolution.
Right.
But the resolution just says that you held a public hearing, no?
Well, first we have to hold a public hearing, yes, open it, close it. But then there's a proposal to adopt the attached resolution, which is,
What's the resolution?
Exactly. But the attorney's gonna give us a,
Yes.
the 15.
The resolution indicates in the first paragraph where Campus One, it gives the background, has applied to the IRS to be recognized as tax exempt, that they are going to be the recipient of bonds issued by this Industrial Development Authority of La Paz, Arizona, and that the purpose of the bonds would be to acquire Prevail up to $15 million. But it further goes on to say that the code requires that the governmental unit having jurisdiction over the area conduct a public hearing, and then it goes on to further state that a public hearing was held on August the 2nd, and whereas the City of Mount Clemens, the applicable elected representative over the area in which a charter school is located. And then it says, pursuant to the foregoing, the City of Mount Clemens, pursuant to Section 147F of the Code, hereby approves the issuance by the authority of the bonds in an aggregate principal amount up to $15 million to finance the project. It further states the bond shall not be in any way a debt or liability of the City of Mount Clemens, and the City of Mount Clemens shall not have any obligation with respect to the payment of the principal or redemption price or interest on the bonds. So that's what the resolution says.
Okay.
And we'll have a chance to ask questions.
And it should be pointed out that we were approached by campus partners and requested to have the public hearing and to present this resolution. It's not the city administration who is bringing this to you.
Understood. The question I have, though, is if we're approving the issuance by the authority of the bonds in an aggregate, blah, 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 without all the facts around what they're going to do with it.
They're going to
Well,
buy the Prevail Academy. That's what
I
they're going
think
to do.
we can probably delve a little deeper into that once we close the public hearing. And
Okay.
then we'll
Okay, because we're
move
gonna
to,
have all
then we can, then we can move on to the discussion part of it about the resolution, and we can discuss from there in person. Yeah. Yes. In other words, yes. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to participate? Do I have anyone on the Zoom call, Darren? Yes. Is it the person though from, okay, to let them know, I guess I'm letting them know. We'll come right back to you. After we close the public hearing, we'll come back to them. Okay, so can I have a motion?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Excellent. Roll call.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'll entertain a motion about the resolution. We can vote no. We just need a motion to discuss.
I move to adopt the attached TEFRA approval resolution.
Okay.
Support.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
This one's tricky.
All right, now we can open the discussion. So there is a person moving on the right.
This should be online, is Holly Horsley from Ballard and Spar of Philadelphia.
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. Hi. Yes, so I am the attorney that represents Campus Partners One. Our firm is bond counsel on this transaction and borrower's counsel to the transaction. So I can just kind of give you a summary. I think some of the things you guys said was correct, but I'll just give you a summary of what we're doing here. So the Industrial Development Authority of the County of La Paz, Arizona, they were selected as our issuer of bonds because we are doing a multi-state project in 9 different states around the country. And this issuer in Arizona has powers under their statutes that allow them to issue bonds for projects located in Arizona and also for projects outside of their state. So it was very efficient for us to find one entity that could issue the bonds for all of our charter schools involved in this project instead of going to issuers in each individual state. So one issuer versus 9. So that's why we have this Arizona issuer. Now, Campus Partners One is a Michigan nonprofit corporation. They have applied for 501c3 status with the Internal Revenue Service. We should be getting back the determination letter any day now because the application was submitted several months ago. And the purpose of the project is to acquire charter schools around the country, as in those 9 states that I mentioned. And these facilities are currently occupied by charter schools, one of which is in your jurisdiction. The charter school that's currently there, Prevail Academy, they are a governmental body, so they're not a nonprofit or a for-profit corporation, and they currently they're managed by an entity called National Heritage Academies. So NHA manages schools, 96 schools around the country, one of which is Prevail Academy. Prevail Academy currently does not own the facility they are located in. They lease it from an affiliated company of NHA. So what we would do with the bond proceeds is we will acquire the land and the facilities which the NHA affiliate currently owns. The existing lease with Prevail Academy would terminate, and then the Campus Partners One entity that will own the property will then enter into a new lease with Prevail Academy. The lease payments will be in an amount sufficient to pay the schools pro rata portion of the debt service payments on the bonds. So right now, so this TEFRA hearing, why we have to do it, as was read, the Internal Revenue Code requires us to get approval, or first of all, let me back up. The Internal Revenue Code requires that every jurisdiction in which there is a bond finance facility to hold a public hearing so that the public can comment on the project. And again, since we're not issuing bonds through the city or the county, we had to find you guys and approach you and ask to hold the hearing. It is purely an administrative function, an administrative task that we have to do in order to issue tax-exempt bonds. And the reason we are able to issue tax-exempt bonds is because we will have an entity that is a nonprofit and a 501c3 under the code. So we have the hearing, you have to adopt the resolution, but it is purely administrative. It is a very initial step in the process. We are, like I said, there's many schools located around the country that we are in the process of discussing the project with. The schools and the attorneys for the schools we've been in touch with. We are sharing documents with them, sharing the lease that will be the subject, that will be executed at closing. The school and their board will have ample time to review, comment, and negotiate the terms of that lease. Again, this is an initial step that we have to do before we can proceed further. So the school is not in any way bound by anything by having this hearing. They have every opportunity to say they do not want to be part of the transaction, but in order for us to move forward with the transaction, we have to have the hearing today. I don't know if there's any questions. I feel like I may have addressed all the questions that came up in discussion, but please feel free to ask if there's anything else.
I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Murray has a question, and then I'll let you guys, because it might.
Are you proceeding forward with this acquisition from the bond proceeds if Prevail, you do not reach an agreement with Prevail on leasing the facility?
We will not. If we cannot reach an agreement, and we will not do that, because the school is there. That's who operates, Prevail Academy it's not a new school, it's been around. So if they're not part of the transaction, we will exclude them from the deal. I mean, the benefit for the schools is that the schools will have a cheaper lease payment than they do now. And the reason for that is because interest rates are so low that we will be able to get, low interest rate on the bonds. And as I mentioned before, the lease payments flow up through our structure to equal debt service on the bonds. So the low interest rate on the bonds means cheaper lease payments for the schools. So they will be able to have, free up more cash. They will be able to own equipment in their school, which I don't believe they currently do right now. They'll also enter into a new management agreement with NHA, and they will have a lower management fee that they are paying a management fee now, but it will be a lower management fee in the new transaction. So the schools are benefited on an economic basis by entering into the transaction, but they are not required to be part of the transaction.
Are all the schools that you are talking to, are they all NHA schools?
Yes.
So can I ask, right now, is that property taxable?
I honestly don't know. I'd have to find that out. I'm not sure if anybody from NHA is on the line, but it's most likely tax exempt because it's serving a function for educational purposes, and that would most likely already be off the rent rolls for that purpose, but I would have to find that out and confirm.
So even though the school is a for-profit corporation, they do not pay any property taxes currently?
I don't know what Prevail is, but my guess is it's a nonprofit. And
We actually described it as a
Well,
government entity.
yeah, charter schools in Michigan are governmental entities. They are governmental entities, so I think that they are already exempt. But I can confirm that and get back to you, get back to the commission on that.
I'm not sure they all are, all the Montessori's
well,
are.
the one
but
in the
that's
city
it.
is.
Yeah, I'm not saying 100% of Michigan schools are, but the Michigan schools that are part of our transaction are all governmental entities. We've done extensive tax analysis on all of that, so I do know that.
I guess I find it troubling that you guys have gotten this far to the issuance of bonds without any discussion whatsoever with Prevail Academy. I
Well,
that
I
seems
understand what you're saying,
backwards.
but we are not that far yet. We still, if everything goes according to plan, we would not be in a position to quote issue the bonds or close on the bonds until probably early October. So again, this is a thing we have to do at the beginning of the transaction. And like I said, we've been doing it with about 70 different jurisdictions around the country. So this is a step in that process, but we are still at least 2 months away from issuing bonds. And we have been providing documents to the board attorneys, and we're setting up meetings with the school board members to bring them all up to speed on where we are. It's just, as you can imagine, with a project this size, it's a lot of moving parts. But we are not in position to issue bonds yet.
Again, according to the statement that Mr. Johnson read, the Prevail Academy didn't know anything about this until just this weekend. So I'm puzzled and quite frankly concerned that a project of this magnitude didn't involve a preliminary discussion with Prevail Academy. Because if you're already talking about issuing bonds and you have resolutions and proclamations and stuff here, that's pretty far in my estimation of where you are in this process.
But I think you're thinking of Prevail as a normal school district, where it's not.
Doesn't matter.
Charters, it does matter, because they're small potatoes in terms of in that agency. They're one piece to how many schools of this national heritage, that they're going to acquire. So, they're very, I'm sure their upper level management, not their school board, but their upper level management of this National Heritage Corporation is involved in the negotiations, but they don't have to, and that's the problem with charter schools, because there's no local control.
Wow.
Well, I do know, I know we've had discussions, like I said, with the attorneys that represent the schools. And the next step of that was to bring in the school board members so they could understand what we are doing. We have been in discussions with the attorneys that represent the school district. And the school district members are, from my understanding, local. I don't have the list of names here of who's on the board, but they are Michigan folks. But like I said, we have been in touch with the attorney. And we are in the process of setting up meetings with the school board.
But you are saying that the proposed transaction, you will own the land, National Heritage Schools will continue to operate the schools?
Yes, as they have been doing since the school opened.
Will they be an independent organization?
The school, is that who you're asking?
Yeah,
Will they be
NHA
independent?
continue
Yes.
to be an independent
Yes.
organization?
Yes, they will enter into a management contract, which again, that's another document that the school board's attorney will review, comment, negotiate with, and they are a separate, like a governmental body under Michigan law. So they are independent of their management company.
And so what happens if Prevail says, no, thank you?
Right, I was going to ask the same question. Thank you.
Well, if the school chooses not to participate, they will continue operating with under their same arrangement that they are now. So their lease will not be disturbed. They will have the same management contract. They will not be part of our transaction.
But I think we have to be clear on our role in this.
Yeah, what is our role?
Our role is not to decide if this is a good deal or a bad deal for Prevail. If
Right.
we say no to this resolution right now, we're not even giving them the opportunity.
I understand that,
Right.
but at the same time, if Prevail should have known what was going on and have the opportunity to put their 2 cents in, I mean, for them to issue that statement just creates some question in my mind as to whether or not this is all straightforward or not, and so we don't have all the details. We are being asked to approve what they want to do.
So is that an option for us to have a more detailed explanation of really what's going on? Is that possible for you to provide that to the board?
Well, yeah, well, like, I guess, what more detail do you need? I mean, I think,
Well, I guess that Prevail Academy has been part of this community for many years now. It's operated a school that a lot of our residents use. A lot of, children go there that live in the city. And so we're just kind of hit with this. It does seem a little strange that we have to approve it. Okay, the Internal Revenue Code is full of strange things. But at the same time, if we have to approve it, we just would like to understand the whole transaction and its effect on Prevail.
Right. And the city as a whole.
right, well, I guess I understand what you're saying. I guess I'm still not understanding what specific details
I think
are you
what we
looking
want
for in
is,
the
I
transaction?
think we want approval from the Prevail we want the Prevail board to say that they understand what's going on and that they approve our movement on this, or our role on this.
Whatever our
Because
role is, right.
Or even at least
we want some input from them
Yes.
that doesn't say we have no idea what's going on.
Because we don't.
someone from National Heritage, or
Yeah.
someone,
On the line,
because
right.
clearly these two, this transaction is so linked. My first thought would be, if Prevail doesn't cooperate,
Are we going to have an
What
empty
if-
building?
Yeah,
Right, because that's what I
exactly.
thought. Are we going to be
So-
stuck with it?
So.
Oh, no, yeah, like I said, Prevail will still continue on in the same facility. It just will not, it will stay under the same legal structure as far as who owns the property, their lease, all of that will remain as is.
And-
We just will not include them in our transaction.
And-
But I think someone made a statement a moment ago, that, regardless, the school can still vote for nay on this. Their board will have to pass a resolution. They will have to review and accept and agree to the terms of the transaction. So, you're passing the resolution today. What it does is it helps speed along the process so that when and if they do say yes, which from indications what we've been hearing from the attorneys, that the schools are eager to enter into these to this new arrangement because the cost will be lower for them. We're trying to get to market, and the interest rates and all that, who knows what it'll be like if we continue to delay. So I'm just trying to say this is just a step that will not obligate the school in any manner. They can still say no. They will not. You're not tying their hands in any way.
Our
But
attorney go ahead.
NHA owns a number of these schools throughout the nation. Is that correct?
yes,
And you are buying those. You are buying the real estate and the facilities from NHA, correct? With these bond proceeds.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now you
That's
are
correct.
saying, you are telling us that if Prevail does not want to enter into a lease agreement with your organization, that you will not be buying this particular facility. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then the significant question would appear to be, and they would continue under their present arrangement with NHA, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So I think that one of the questions would be, how long is their lease with NHA? How much time is left on it?
On their existing lease,
Yeah.
I'd have to check. I don't know that off the top of my head.
So that's the details of things we need to
That's where I feel like NHA should have a voice in here, or at least give us some idea of how they see this partnership with Campus Partners and how it's going to play out.
Right,
Well, this is just coming from me, but we have been having, I talk to people from NHA on almost a daily basis. So they are very on board with this transaction. I'm not sure, we've normally had someone from NHA on the Tepper hearings. So I apologize that they were not able to, someone from NHA was not able to join tonight, but they are, they're very well aware of the project, in support of the project. This is, an important project for them as well.
So it just seems to me like this whole process is backwards. Prevail should have been consulted, NHA should have, should be here to speak to this, and those items, I think, should be settled before the issuance of bonds to buy property in our city. So what I would like to do is I would like to offer an alternative motion that we table this discussion until we hear from NHA and Prevail.
Support. Support. Is that possible?
Do we have that documented? Okay. All right, so the new motion on the floor then is to table. We should have closed out the. Yeah, I think we need to vote on the first motion since it was, and you can vote no, and then we can have another. You can, yeah.
You don't have that approach over to
She just offered to table the first motion, and you don't need to vote on the first
No,
motion.
she offered to make an alternative motion. I thought
Okay,
is what she said.
then how about if I say amend the first motion to table
But
the
did you make the
decision?
first motion?
No.
Okay, I think that
Rashida would have to accept the
I think
amendment.
Rashida would need to make an amendment.
So we're amending the first motion to table. Yes.
Okay. All right, and then you supported, or did Wanda support? Who supported?
Support.
Good enough. Okay. Okay. All right. Now we want to make sure we've got the Robert's Rules of Order. So we're already at a public hearing. Yeah. So we're just in the resolution part. Right.
Crazy.
Right. Okay. So now we have our amended resolution to table. Is there amended motion to table. Is there any questions or comments on that? Okay, hearing none, roll call please.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
All right.
That was exhausting.
We will move on to agenda item B. Sorry, my computer is loading. All right. General business B, approve Karn's revised lease termination agreement. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the revised lease termination agreement for the Carnes property and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement.
Support.
Okay, are there any questions? Oh, sorry, we'll go ahead and let Mr. Johnson give us an overview.
Yeah, after the city commission approved the lease termination agreement, the next day the schools contacted me with revised language that they were taking to the school board. I don't have any problems at all with their revised language, but I wish they'd given it to me at least a day earlier, and then we wouldn't have to go through this a second time. The only changes that they're making relate to the paragraph dealing with payments for replacing the parking lot. They added a requirement that we provide them with an itemized invoice, and they changed the annual payment due date from September 1st of every year to November 1st. And the reason for that change is they wanted to make the payment due date come after the date the schools receive their state aid payments. And again, we have absolutely no objection to any of these changes.
All right. Now, does anyone have any questions or comments about it? Yes, Mr. Menzer.
I have brought up several times that we should have inspections. We should have a building inspection. We should have an electrical inspection. We should have a plumbing inspection, and we most certainly should have a fire inspection. I find it troubling that we're going to sign a lease agreement or, this agreement without having those inspections. I think that's a safety issue. As I said previously, I don't want to see, some kid run down the hall and stick their phone charger in an electrical outlet, that's hot. I don't have a problem taking Carnes back. I think it can be a benefit to the community, but I am very disappointed that no inspections for safety have taken place.
That's actually not true. A fire inspection has taken place.
When did we receive the results of that? When did you tell commission that?
I received that at the end of last week.
At the last meeting, you requested that those inspections be done
Yep.
before kids entered the building. And that was at the last meeting, not before we signed this agreement.
But you've already had kids enter the building.
And that was before your request.
Well, my
So-
request is that for the safety of anyone, including kids, in that building, we should have these inspections done.
So I think that is part of operating the building and deciding how we move forward in operations. This is taking possession of the building, not how we're going to operate it. So I think that's
The next step.
the next step.
Exactly. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Moving on to agenda 9C, recognize Hearts for Homes as a community nonprofit.
Excuse me.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the local governing body resolution attached for charitable gaming licenses for Hearts for Homes.
Support.
Support.
Mr. Johnson?
You've seen these before. Hearts for Homes is requesting that it be recognized by the City Commission as a local nonprofit organization so that they can obtain a charitable gaming license from the state of Michigan. The state's application process requires a local government subdivision in which the organization is based, recognize it by resolution as the term is nonprofit organization in the community. Hearts for Homes aspires to end child homelessness in Macomb County by helping homeless children and their families secure their own home and help families at risk of homelessness to keep their homes. Hearts for Homes also provides connections to services and resources that empower families and break the cycle of poverty and inspire the hope of greater economic stability. I believe what they actually want to operate is a raffle, but it still requires the same license as if they were doing a Las Vegas night type activity. That they need a charitable gaming license.
And they are recognized as a 501(c), right?
Yes.
Okay.
Where are they located?
They're located at 115 South Main Street, which is actually which church?
If I may, Tom
Yes.
Stutz, I'm a board member of Hearts for Homes and a local attorney. We started Hearts for Homes about 4 years ago out of Grace Church in Mount Clemens. It's not necessarily a religious organization, but a number of churches have joined to provide support. In the last several years, we've managed to house about 60 families and 100 children, got them off the street into more permanent housing. We need to raise funds, which is the purpose of the raffle. For about $450, we can transition a family from the street to a permanent home. We operate out of the church, who graciously gives us the space, but we are a 501(c)(3).
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Roll call, please.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
May I ask how I get a copy of the resolution eventually to send to the state?
If you call the city manager's office, they'll be happy to provide one for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, moving on to agenda item 9D, purchases and payments of invoices.
Move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support.
Anybody have questions? Commissioner Menzer?
So in the breakdown here, item number 6, Luigi Ferdinand and Sons, it says here, at this time, we are seeking to extend again for the 2021-2022 construction season under the same terms and conditions and fees. But when you go to Luigi's letter towards the back, it says, we will hold the prices for the entire 2021 calendar year. That does not include the 2022 season. Calendar year ends in December. So that's a discrepancy.
Do you want to pull the, I mean, is that what you're asking for? Change in that?
Well, I think,
I mean, we don't want to hold up the entire bills for
Cliff is not
payments
here.
if,
Is
I think
it
that
a
would be Jeff, wouldn't it?
discrepancy? Yeah, probably. Is it a discrepancy, or are they just saying they're not holding the prices for 22? They would like the contract for 21, 22.
yeah, but it does not say that in the description of where it says, on 9/8/20, the city commission extended a contract, et cetera, et cetera. It says, extend again for the 2021-2022 construction season.
No,
which is
I read, I know exactly
contradictory.
what you're saying, I read it too, but I took it as they're not promising to hold the price at the 21 price level. So I think pulling
So
it
do you
makes
want
sense.
to amend, Mr. Campbell, do you want to amend this to pull that item 6?
Amend the motion to pull the item.
Item 6, so
Item
payments of
6.
invoices with the exception of item 6.
With the exception of item 6 for approval.
Support.
Okay. Did we get that, Kathy? Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Agenda item 10, consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 11, city manager's report. Mr. Johnson.
Okay, I've actually got a couple of additional things that I want to put on this that wasn't in the printed version. I got word today that both of the grant proposals that are coming through Congress have passed the House. This is the joint recreation proposal with East Point and also the Art Space Phase 2. So we still have to get it through the Senate before it's a sure thing.
And the president's desk.
I'm not too worried about the president in this case. We've also received word that the governor accepted the Attorney General's recommendation for our ballot language for the charter amendment. The items that are on the written report, the branding committee met on the 21st of July but did not reach an agreement on the logo. They'll be meeting again this week on Friday. The logo is the only piece of the brand the committee has not agreed on. Pancake Breakfast, the firefighters will host their 29th annual Pancake Breakfast from 7:30 to 11 a.m. on September 11th. That's the same time as the Soapbox Derby, our Grand Prix event. So if you're coming down to watch that or participate in that event, it's a good time to stop over to the fire station for breakfast. Fire station department will also be holding an open house on October 24th from 1 to 4 p.m. We'll feature an equipment display, extraction demonstrations, a junior firefighter combat challenge, face painting, hot dogs, cider, donuts, and popcorn. DDA concerts and other events. Actually, the first one occurred on Friday. Very nice concert, very well attended. I would say the one a week before was pretty surprisingly well attended for opera. I was surprised, and it was very well done. The August 6th concert at the Fountain Stage features Wheels of Fire, which is a Cream tribute band. On August 13th, we've got Soul Commission. And then on August 14th, we have the drive-in in the Roscop parking lot. Jurassic Park is the movie, and they're attempting to break a world record for most people wearing dinosaur costumes.
Who knew?
So come and wear your dinosaur costume.
One of those in the basement.
That was inflatable dinosaur costumes.
Well, that's
We want to
what
make sure it's
Oh, yeah.
inflatable.
I think any costume counts, doesn't it, Mickey?
No, it actually is inflatable.
It has to be inflatable. Okay.
I mean, you can come in other costumes, but it won't be counted in that.
In the Guinness World Record, right? They're very specific. Who knew? All right. Is that the end of your
Okay. COVID, our numbers are starting to creep upward, but they're still pretty low as of the end of last week. The state's hot spots are surprisingly in some of the rural counties, including Branch, Kalkaska, Charlevoix, Alpena, and Iron. And of course, Macomb County, we've still got a link to Macomb County Vaccine Central where you can make an appointment to get your vaccine for anyone 12 or older. And future agendas are shown.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Johnson? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to public participation. Our second opportunity for the public to participate. All we ask is for your full name, your residential address, and that you abide by our 2-minute rule.
Go again. Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street. I had an opportunity to talk to a lady on Clinton River Drive. As you well know, areas have been flooded. There were at least 10 to 12 houses that had water and stuff backing up and sewage into their basements and stuff like that. And the lady stated, and she probably would have been here, but she works afternoons. And she's still trying to get her basement and stuff together. She stated she was told when she called the city, and she didn't tell me who she talked to or whatever, but they told her, allegedly, that it was an act of God, and there was nothing that they could do. So I don't know, maybe Rashida, she lives on Clinton River Drive, knows some of the families and stuff that were impacted by the floods and things, especially this last flood as well. We could get some information out to them in the way that they could go, because would they still be entitled to FEMA or any of these monies that they're giving out in other areas? Because this woman's basement was devastated. She had like 28, 29 bags of stuff on the street, furniture, and her refrigerator has to go, her washer has to go, her dryer has to go. All of that stuff has to come out of her basement because it can't be impacted, because she had up to like almost 3 feet of water in her basement. So I don't know what to say, but I just want to know what the position of the city is so I can tell her.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I was going to be quiet, I promise. Thomas Barnes, 291 Jones Street. I want to highlight, just for a moment, the most amazing person in the city of Mount Clemens. In my personal opinion, all of you guys are great. But during the COVID-19 quarantine shutdown, I have a neighbor that lives on my street that walked around one day, about 3 days into quarantine, and put little bags on everybody's door. With my daughter, who had been stuck in the house for half a week, who was definitely afraid of what was to come, ran outside. There was a note in the bag that said, "Meet us outside on your front porch at 6:33. We want to make sure everybody's okay." Dave and Lila Tercel are probably some of the nicest people that I have ever met in my entire life. I have been living across the street from these people for 10 years. We have passed each other. We have waved at each other. Lila smiles at me every time she's cutting her grass. And I've just wondered, who are these people that live across the street from me? During the COVID-19 quarantine, I got so close with the 8 houses that immediately surround my house. This thing that started off as, let's make sure that everybody has toilet paper, let's make sure that everybody has food in their house, turned into this community gathering where our neighbor Chris Kipp hosts community movie nights. We all sit on Deanna's porch and eat popsicles. Like every single day, so this went from an everyday occurrence during quarantine to now doing it once a week, where everybody from our neighborhood comes together and checks in and plans community events. This is the strength of our community, and this is what you work for and what you guys are up here fighting for. So every time you check in to work and put your work clothes on and come to these meetings, it's to preserve the integrity of amazing people like Dave and Lila Tercel. Thank you guys.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the commission? Anyone on Zoom? All right, we'll move to commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell?
Well, several of the comments from the members of the audience today regarding blight and the condition of the neighborhoods. As I've said since day one, people want to live in a nice neighborhood, and the pictures that Ms. Stevenson brought today regarding this property here, nobody would want to live next door to a yard that looks like that. So I hope that the codes or whatever needs to be done, that lot gets cleaned up, because with ownership comes responsibility, and the owner of that lot should be held responsible for its upkeep. There's no excuse to have brush overgrowing like that. So I hope that that is addressed immediately so it can be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Yes, I was impacted by the heavy rains in early July, and my basement did flood along with at least 10 other residents on the Clinton River Drive. I have addressed the issue with the city administration, and that's all I have to say from there.
Commissioner Fournier?
Okay. I agree with you, Commissioner Campbell. Totally. These are not noxious weeds that have gone crazy. And that's what happens when they're not cut down on a regular basis early enough. They start to look like these pictures, which is a problem I'm fighting in several spots right now. And if people would just clean them up as they start up, it doesn't get to look like this. And I know exactly where these trees are, and I apologize for not bringing it up more often after you brought it up the first time. That, I feel very bad about that. We need to follow through on these types of things. And I would like to know what the city's response is regarding Clinton River Drive or any other flooding that happened in the city. I can't imagine why FEMA wouldn't be part of that answer, but we should be able to figure it out one way or the other and at least give people an answer. And the fireworks are amazing. I just want to say I enjoyed them very much, and that was a great salute to a late 4th of July. Thank you.
Commissioner Goodenough?
I would have to concur with Commissioner Campbell and Ms. Stevens that this is actually hideous. The house next door was even more hideous. They have recently moved. We own some property down the street from there, and this has been like this for quite some time, which is very upsetting to see. And I do apologize too to Ms. Ruthie because we should have addressed it sooner than later. And I'm hoping that at some point in time we can hold the owner responsible for getting it cleaned up as soon as possible, because it is an eyesore. It is on a main street. And secondly, I do concur with Commissioner Hammond, because there were some of my neighbors who were affected by the flood as well, and they would like answers too from the commission as what can they do about some type of reimbursement for what they lost with the rain in July. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Voorhees.
I agree with you, Mrs. Stevenson, that this is the entrance to our city. This is what people see when they're coming in, and we need to have this taken care of. And you're right, the house next to it, that needs to be taken care of too.
Well, it was just recently. This is left. He doesn't own that house. He owns just this property.
How much you want to make a bet that this guy has a phone number that's 248? You know, like Oakland County. So
I think it's 313.
Well, that's even different.
Well, we tried to purchase the property. That's why. He wouldn't sell it to us.
We need to clean this up.
Yes.
There's no question. And with that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
So not having a definitive answer on the property damage from the rain and the water in the basements, I would encourage everyone to call Macomb Community Action. They have a lot of programs available right now. They've received a lot of federal money. So just give them a call and see what Macomb Community Action can do for you. While you wait for some kind of response from the city, MCA might be able to help, to give some help. The Mount Clemens Optimist Club is going forward with Trunk or Treat this year. I believe the date is October 23rd in conjunction with Spooktacular. We are looking for people to sponsor trunks. We will be doing it in the parking structure like usual, and we will be doing our best to keep cars and trunks socially distanced and to keep some space between the kids. I think you may remember in years past we've had 3,000 kids come through there. So we will be doing our best to make sure that kids are coming through there and safe. But anybody that would like to sponsor a trunk, any business, we would appreciate it. And any Mount Clemens High School student that would like to volunteer that day to either play music or help the kids around or help direct the trunks and help keep the kids in line and keep them flowing, we would really appreciate that. And then, of course, because that's also spooktacular, we hope that you stop down after you get, gotten your fill of candy at Trunk or Treat, that you stop down into some of the businesses in town for spooktacular. The Mount Clemens Optimist Club will also be participating in the Soapbox Derby. We have 2 cars. If you have a small child that might want to drive in the Derby, please contact me, and we'll see what we can do. We're not going to charge you, for anything. We just need some kids to drive a car. So just contact me. You can contact me through the city, or people know how to get a hold of me through Facebook or whatever. But we would appreciate that. And I'm going to revive something that I used to do, because I think that it is incumbent upon us, upon this board, and upon all of our residents to make sure that the businesses in Mount Clemens thrive, to make sure that we use those businesses, to make sure that we give them our business. And even if we can't buy anything today, you stop in and say hi. Talk to the business owners. See how they're doing. See if there's anything that you can do for them. Or see if there's something that they can do for you. Do you know that if you have a favorite author, you can go to Lisa Taylor and say, hey, I'm collecting Lee Child. And she will call you and tell you when she's got a new one in. She does that for me. You can put a list together. Her husband at Weirdsville Records will do the same thing. If you need some, old, Temptations or Four Tops, album, he will look for it and he will let you know when he has it there for you. So where I have been over the last month, obviously I've been to Weirdsville and Paperback Writers. I have been and I hate to admit it out loud again, but I have been to Champagne Chocolates, and I bought more white chocolate coconut haystacks because they are my freaking favorite. I can't stay away from them. I have been to Orleans. I have been to O'Halloran's. I went and got mac and cheese and cornbread from Gumbo's. I stopped into the Mount Clemens Grill and got a cinnamon roll. So
How do you stay so skinny?
I walk a lot. I consciously participate in events downtown. I cannot go to every one of them, but I went to the concert the Friday before last, and I watched Mickey and her friend Jim put furniture in and put furniture out, because that's what it takes. So if you're downtown and you're there for one of those concerts, please help. You know, please help her put some chairs back away. It was a really great event, and I hope that you guys come down and take and utilize our businesses and help them thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. I just want to point out again what City Manager Johnson mentioned. We did make it through to the second to last round, I guess you would say. We made it through Congress for both of our proposals for our art space at $750,000 in potential money that will come directly to our art space committee, and that go to an initiative that can help the economic development of Mount Clemens. And then we also will receive about $240,000 towards recreation and towards the Boys and Girls Club at Carnes Community Center. So we're really excited with those two initiatives. If you happen to maybe call Debbie Stabenow or Gary Peters and let them know that when this comes before the Senate, and that you would like to see these federal tax money come directly to the state, directly to the city of Mount Clemens. We would greatly appreciate that. We're very excited, and we're hoping that all of it will come to fruition. And I also want to mention, I have, from the beginning of my commission term, I've said it doesn't cost any money to pull your weeds. And, you know, it's just a perfect example of what Mrs. Stevenson said. You know, this is something that shouldn't be happening. It doesn't cost any money to maintain your property in that manner. You know, it's a little bit of sweat equity, but take some pride in your property. I also want to mention that I think we need to take I've always said we need to take better care with our blight enforcement on our thoroughfares. We had a public comment today that said, you know, we've had some people who seem to feel like they're getting tickets for no reason for blight inspections, but this is a reason. And so we need to make sure that our thoroughfares are our priority at this point. We want to give the perception, a positive perception when people drive into town. And that being said, I had a meeting just recently with the postmaster. Did you know that in the last 20 years, there have been 22 postmasters go through the city of Mount Clemens? So we wonder why we're having so many issues with the post office. I didn't know that, and until I finally got to sit down with one of the postmasters, which I've tried for years now, to get that to happen, even as a city commissioner, because I'm appalled by the way they keep that building and the lot that they keep the trucks. So we addressed those issues. We also brought in this nonprofit that they're going to work with, who is going to try to assist in helping them maintain some of the property. So we're trying to find alternative means. We recognize the limitations that the post office has, but we want to help try to mitigate this situation. So, so we did work on that. And we are going to also keep going to this nonprofit, and I are going to go to other businesses where blight is an issue. So Painter Supply, we're coming for you next. You know, we want to try to address that. We understand that people have limitations, but we also understand that these blight issues and not taking care of your property, if you're a homeowner or you're a business, businesses have responsibilities for that too. So, so we are trying to work on some things, and I know Brian and his department are also trying to work on the blight situation. And I had one more thing, and I didn't write it down. So, yes.
Can I ask you a question? When you spoke with the postmaster, is it my understanding that those buildings, that building and the lot across the street, they lease? Is that correct? They don't own any real estate?
Well, no.
The one they're parking in the lease, for sure.
Yeah, the one that they, from what I understand, the way he explained it was that the actual building, so that's the north, that's Main Street lot, right? Well, I guess they're both, but anyway, the one where the building is on.
Yes.
That is owned by them.
The government owns that?
Right, the government owns it, which is an issue.
Another non-taxable building.
Yeah.
The lot that that is owned, that has just the trucks in it, that
Yes.
backs up to southbound Gratiot, right?
Right.
That lot is owned by a private entity, and that person happens to be a council person in, I don't remember exactly what city, but I think it's in Oakland County.
Oh, of course.
So if that doesn't get cleaned up,
Yeah.
maybe I'll remember what city that's from.
Good.
So,
Show up at public comment there.
yeah,
You know-
yeah, we'll get creative, let's just say that.
That lot is another one that you have, and it's on two main thoroughfares. So whether you're coming into town or whether you're going
Exactly.
south out of town, you're looking at that, and it's a mess.
It's a mess.
You are absolutely right.
It's a mess, and I also think that the party store next door doesn't help
Yes.
that
No,
situation,
not
but,
at all.
yeah, so,
Unfortunately, it's not the only one. That's the
I know, exactly, so we're trying to chip away at that, but,
So you got your
I
assignment,
did-
Brian?
I did remember my other thing. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner
I was
Menzer.
going to
and
say,
then-
did you want to mention Carl Levin?
Oh, yes. Well, two things then. I will mention that last. The second one I wanted to mention was the Meet Your Neighbors feature in the Clementine newspaper. So we've had two features. We had Monroe Stevens, and then I featured the Jones Street crew, who were that was such a great meeting to meet with all of them, and what they did for COVID was spectacular. But if you are doing, I can't get it. I don't know everyone in the city by any means. So if you know of somebody who you just have this feeling, they don't even have to do something extraordinary, but you just think that's a person that everyone should know. You know, they should get some kudos for doing something quietly, right? That's the person that we want to put, or that's the small group that we want to put on the front of the Clementine, because, you know, they're doing something unnoticeably spectacular. And that's the kind of people we want to feature. So, so if you have anyone that comes to mind when you hear me talk about that, then feel free to call me, to email me. All of that's on the front of our homepage of our. It's easy to get a hold of me. Call City Hall. Don might answer, and he'll get the message to me.
John Emerson.
Yeah. So we'll definitely take the names and write some lists, and we'll get some people on the front page of the Clementine. That's who I think the front page of the Clementine should belong to. So, I of course would like to mention, yes, I'm sure most of you have heard because it's up and all over the news, but we've lost former Senator Carl Levin, and so of course the city of Mount Clemens wishes to extend our deepest sympathy to Carl Levin's family. He was an incredible public servant, and I think he embodied, he represented all of Michigan, and really felt he was a public servant for the right reason. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.